Hi everyone, welcome to our end of year account processing workshop. So at this workshop, you will know how to use the admin account and how to do the end of year account processing. And if you have any questions, please feel free to ask us. So the first one, log in as an administrator. Please enter the website listed below and click on sign in with LoiLoNote. But if you already link with your Google account, you can use signing with Google. And how to grant admin permissions individually. Sharing an admin account among multiple teachers is not recommended. But if joint management is desired, individual administrative permissions can be granted. So click on Teachers. Click on Name of the teacher. Click on Grant Admin Permissions. And click on Grant. And how to check the usage statistics. So again, go back to your white admin menu. Click on Report. And click on Usage Statistics. Click on the school name. And we can confirm the usage for up to 3 months now. And once you're finished, click on Export. And the blue line represented the number of app users, and the orange line represented the number of admin council users. Now, let's move on to the end of year account processing. The process is fairly simple. Upload the Excel file to the LoiLoNote cloud server. If you are an administrator, please pass the registered login details to the teachers. But if your school is using Google or Microsoft for registration, you don't have these papers. This one is only for LoiLoNote ID users. So if you are a teacher, you can create subjects and guide the students to use LoiLoNote. The same, if your school is using Google or Microsoft for registration, you don't have this paper. This paper is only for LoiLoNote ID registration. Before we get started, there are a couple of reminders we wanted to be prepared. The first one, end last year's subjects. So if the duration of a subject is set, it will automatically close when it's due. But there's one case we have to manually end the subject if the subject's duration was not set, as you can see that in the pink line. So how can we manually end one subject? So go back to your admin account, click on Subjects, click on the subject that without duration, and go back. Click on End Selected Subjects. Remember, in this part is End Selected Subjects. Please don't delete it. It's End Selected Subjects. Click on OK. And this subject will go to the past subjects automatically. Then the second step is end last year's classes. So if the duration of a class is set, it will automatically close when due. Again, manually end the classes is needed if the duration of the class was not set. The class's duration wasn't set, so they will have no starting date and no end date. So again, go back to your admin menu. Click on Groups and Classes. Click on the designated group. Click on End Selected Groups and click on Execute. Again, this group will go to the past groups. Then we will then jump to export last year's account information. We will recommend you to do so because you don't have to manually entering all the students' information again. So go back to your admin menu, click on Students, click on Students, and click on Export. So all the informations, including the student's full name, the user ID, and last year's user group will be exported into an Excel. We're going to keep the Excel and for this year's use. So once we've got the Excel prepared, check the new school year's registration. For example, if you've got the student 01 moves from 1A to 2B, the student's ID or email should remain unchanged. So make sure we are not changing the student ID or the email. So now let's talk about how exactly we're gonna do it. The flow number 1, ended previous classes and subjects. So the idea is, let's say you've got 6 classes last year. So what we're performing annual processing is archive all the previous data, like 1A goes to past groups, 2B goes to past groups, 3C and 4D, as such. So once you finish, the student graduate from this year should go to the graduation. Flow number 2, create new classes and subjects. So let's say you've got the first grader this year, so they will be the new first grade. Last year's first grader will then go to the new second grade as such. So last year's 5th grader will be new 6th grade. But if you said, well, in our school, the student will be going to different classes, let's say 1Z, you used to have 5 students. So this guy goes to the new 2A, and she goes to new 2B, she goes to new 2C, goes to new 2D, and he goes to 2E. We can do so, and we're going to explain this in more detail. So finally, end of year account processing. The steps are process grading students, enrolling new teachers and students, renewing enrollment for current students, establishing new classes and subjects, and then managing departing users. For the first step and the last step, if you don't have any students who are graduated this year, you can skip it. Or if you don't have any departing users, you can skip it too, but you do have to click on it before we skip it. So in each step, it's fairly simple too. It's just repeat and repeat. First, download the Excel template, fill out the Excel template, upload the pre-filled Excel, and return to the annual processing page. Click on Next, and yes, done. So before we get started, where can I find annual processing? So back to your admin menu, click on Settings, find the Maintenance End of Year Account Processing, click on it. Now it goes to our first step, how to process graduating students. So if a graduation date is set, the student graduates automatically when it's due. But we will also demonstrate how to manually proceed a graduation. So first step, let's say you have graduation for 6th grade, click on Next and check the student's detail. Click on Next. Yes, proceed graduates. So the first step has been done. It will then automatically jump to the second step, which is registered new teachers. So again, if this year you don't have any new teachers coming in, you don't have to do this one as well, but we're going to explain in detail. no new teachers are joining, proceed by clicking next. But if you have new teachers, again, so if you're using LoiLoNote ID, please click on import list of new teachers. If you're using Google connection, choose the second one. If you're using Microsoft connection, use the third one. So we're going to demonstrate how to register as the Google account. Click on it and click on download the Excel template. And this is one of the examples I've prepared. So obviously you will enter the Google address, and we will strongly recommend it. You write down the students, the teacher's full name, because if you only have the email address, it will be very difficult to identify who is that. So we will recommend it if you can write down the teacher's full name, that'd be great. So once you finish, click on choose file and upload the file we have pre-filled. Click on start import. So in this part, as you can see that if the process is correct, we will have this green framed in here. But if this appears to be a pink framework, don't worry. Click on go back, change your Excel template and upload it again. So as you can see that we've got the email address, we've got the name. So if everything is correct, click on import. Remember to return to the processing page and click on next and click on yes, done. Then it will automatically jump to the third step, which is registered new students. So again, if you're using LoiLoNote ID, choose the first one. If you're using Google connection, choose the middle one. If you're using the Microsoft connection, choose the third one. So we'll be using Google. Again, click on download the Excel template. And this is one of the examples. So this time, make sure you check the grade, you check the classes, and you check the email address. Shortkey is obviously optional, but like the teacher's account, we will strongly recommend it. You register the student's full name. So once you finish, click on choose file and upload the pre-filled Excel. Click on open. Click on start import. So we would like to explain in detail about the group term. So I will strongly recommend it. You enter the start and the end date, but this one, it's up to your school. Like for example, if your school's new semester is the 1st of September, you can change it. Or if it's 25th of September, it's just up to you. But make sure you've got a start date and an end date. Because if you get the duration correct, when the day comes, which is called when the day is due, the group will be closed automatically. So once you check it, click on Start Import. And this one too, we will strongly recommend it. You enter the first grader's graduation date, because if you've got the graduation date till the date, the student can automatically graduate. So click on Next. So again, this one should be appears to be a green frame. If it's pink, that means something goes wrong. Don't panic. Go back, fix your Excel, and upload it again. Check the details, click on Import. And return to the processing page. So once it's finished, click on Next and click on Yes, Done. So then it will jump to the number 4, fourth step. We register students in different classes. So before we do so, make sure we check the classes that has been finished and this year's user information is ready. If you forgot, please go back to the video and then you can learn again. So click on Registered and download the Excel template and preview the Excel template. So make sure at this step, check the student's ID if you're using LoiLoNote ID, or email address should be entered here. So no names should be right down in here, LoiLoNote ID or email address. Then you've got the grade and you've got the classes. So if you check all the detail is correct, click on Choose File and upload the Excel template again. Click on Open. Click on Start Import. So again, we strongly recommend it. You enter the start and the end date. And make sure you check the years as well. Start import. So in here, as you can see that it appears to be reuse existing users. So again, if this says registered new users, that something goes wrong. So if something goes wrong, don't panic. Go back again, fix your Excel, upload it again. Because we've got lots of information in here. So make sure you check the grade, check the class, check the ID or Google email, and click on Import. Oh, and you can see in here that it says this student belongs to 2 groups, right? This is actually correct. It's because last year, this student was in 5E. So when we do the end of year account processing, this student coming from 5E to 6E, so that it will have 2 groups. So there's nothing goes wrong. Don't panic. Then once we finish, return to the processing page and click on Next and click on Yes, Done. So now it jumps to number 5, registered new subjects. So as you can see that registered new subjects can be 2 ways. The first one, we can done it in this admin account, admin console, or we can do it via the app. And we're going to explain in detail. So click on Import List of Regular Subjects, download the Excel template. And this is one of the example. So make sure you've got the grades, you've got the class, you've got the subject name. So make sure to list all the subjects. And here again, we don't enter the teacher's name. It's only LoiLoNote ID, which is the user ID, or the email address. So make sure you check all the details. If nothing goes wrong, click on Choose File and upload the regular subjects and start import. So again, make sure to enter the start and end date. If nothing goes wrong, click on Start Import. In the Excel template, we can have 2 teachers in charge, but if you wanted to add more, you can do so too. So make sure to check the class, the grade, subject, and teacher in charge. Click on Import. The subjects were successfully imported. And then return to the processing page and click on Next. Click on Yes, Done. Then you will jump to the 6th step, Process Leaving Users. But before we do so, we will explain how to create a subject in the user interface, which is in the blue LoiLoNote interface. So click on Add Subjects and enter the subject's name. And click on Create and click on Create. So if you're using a web version, the same, add subject, find class, enter the subject's name, click on Create, and click on OK. And click on Close. So for electives, so we talked about the compulsory subjects. Then we talked about electives. So we recommended for the teachers in charge to create a class and create a subjects. So for the elective students, we will recommend them to enter the class code. So let's say if there's no class, please create a class first. And click on OK. And then we will enter the subject's name. And click on Create. Click on Create. Make sure to pass the class code for the students. Click on OK. So now it's our last step, how to manage departing users. So for this step, if you don't have any teachers leaving the school, or you don't have any students leaving the schools in the middle of the year, you don't have to do anything. You can just go to the next one. But we will talk about how to do it. So the first one, how to transfer it of the teacher. The transferring teacher should export any essential LoiLoNote data before our administrator proceed with the account deletion. So let's go back to the sixth step. Click on Delete Teacher's Account. Let's say this teacher is leaving this year. Once you finish, just click on Go to the Trash and click on OK. And once we finish, return to the processing page. And we will then talk about how to transfer of the students. So again, we are not talking about the students who are graduated this year. We're talking about, we've got a student, let's say it's in year 3, but they're leaving the school, maybe transferring to another school. So in this case, we'll have to do it separately. So again, go back to the screen and click on Graduate Leaving Students. And click on the student's name. Click on Graduate. And click on Graduate now. Execute. So we are not recommended to delete a student's account, and we're going to explain this very soon. So once you finish, return to the processing page again, and click on Next, and click on Done. You're now finished the end of year account processing. Before we finish the workshop, there's something else I would like to share. So if you are using LoiLoNote ID instead of Google, if you would like to update users' information, let's say you would like to upload their password. We do have a password requirement, but if you are using Google Login or Microsoft Login, you will not require a change of password in LoiLoNote. So let's say if you're using LoiLoNote ID, first one, the password needs to mix with letters and numbers, and it needs to be at least 6 characters long, must be different from your username, and each password must be unique. And all students are required to have a separate password. So click on Batch Process by Excel, click on Update Users. Again, download the Excel template. So this is one of the example. Let's say you've got, if you've got the user ID in here, just click on it, and then just trying to enter the name, and then just make sure that you've got the password ready. So once you finish, click on Choose File and upload the Excel template, and click on Start Import. And you don't have to touch anything if you don't want to change the graduation date. And check the student's detail. And this part too, it's updating existing users. Just click on Import. The process is done. So we talked about how to graduate students, but not deleting them. The reason is we want them to use the materials even though after they graduate. So what they can do is they can still browsing the notes that they created at the school, viewing my folder in the material box and the subject share folders in the class. But what they can't do is joining a new class. Obviously, they've already graduated. Viewing other students' submissions in response share submission boxes. And they cannot use send and submit functions for closed classes. And they cannot really use share note as well. So if you have any questions, please feel free to refer to our English LoiLoNote School manual. The answer should be there for you. So today's note data will be passed to you, but before we have the data, we need to know how to use it, right? So we're going to talk about how to transfer notes. So if you're using a web version, so what I'm going to do is I will first export my note data. Then go back to your school, click on 3 dots, click on import. Find the .LoiLoNote, click on open, click on start. And the note is there for you. If you're using iOS, iPad, iPhone, it just looks a little bit different. The same, I'm going to export my data today. I'm going to save it maybe on my iPad. And then I'm going to pass you the data and go back to your school, click on 3 dots, click on import, and find the .LoiLoNote, and click on open. Click on start. Click on close. And the note is there for you to use. So before we finish today's workshop, we would like to do a conclusion. So end of year account processing is very simple if you follow the steps. Archive the old data, then start fresh for the next school year. Don't panic. Your data is still in the ended subjects. So where to find it? Go back to your blue LoiLoNote screen. If you're using a web version, click on go back, keep going back, and select the end subjects and check the previous data. If you're using an iOS, iPad, iPhone, the same, but it's just a little bit different. Click on go back, select it and the subjects. The previous data is stored there for you. So thank you very much for today. If you have any questions or any concern, please come back to us by sending us email at global@loilonote.tv.